Hello. Click it. Click it. Click it again. Click it again. Click it again. Click that. Click, 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 click it again. Click, 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 click it again. Do it! The game's broken! Never mind. One does not simply just press max. Yeah, they do, actually. Pretty much. Pretty much that's what exactly they do. That's what they do. It's how it is. It's what they do. It's an old game! There's a deal, okay? If you go to Steam, there's a bunch of deals going on. And guess what? Pizza. If you go there, you can get games sometimes 80% off. Over at Steam, check it out. It's yours for the taking. Anyway, back to the game. So I just clicked a bunch of lemons and got myself a newspaper, and then I started doing deliveries. And now I'm making pizza. Because clearly, industry works on pizza is the best way to make anything happen. Yes. Manager! I softly lick. What? Hold on. What was that? You what? You what? This is a wholesome capitalism stream. Very wholesome. Donuts. Very wholesome. Haven't played this game in years. Wanted to play it for some reason. Pizza. Upgrade! Wow! Do 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 do. Ba da ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Merry Christmas! Oh. 500! Do it! Yay! Do it again! Yeah. I hope I pressed the right button. Looks like I did. Deals! Up. This game works perfectly fine in full screen. What the fuck? The actual frick. Jesus Christ. I would be amiss if I did not press the 16-second button. Kind of important, that button. Yes. It's worth multiple lemons. Don't worry, I'll upgrade this instead. You have nothing to look forward to. Here, everything is exactly as you see it. Actually, I can't see everything. Fuck me. Ooh, I bought that instead of an upgrade. Wow, I'm dumb. Don't buy anything, just reactivate if you have to. If I have to. Nah, fuck it. We'll just plant ourselves over here and press the button. There we go. Press it again. Just to make sure it actually fully upgrades. There we go. 800,000! Oof. Why are you doing this instead of Minecraft? Shut up! I'll answer to you. That was worth it. so worth it. Hashtag worth. Oh god, I missed one. Hold on, don't worry, I'll get there again. Wait for it. Hopefully I'll get there before it actually does it. Yeah, there we go. Even more money sooner. Awesome. Okay, that was epic. Shut up. Donuts! Does this have tag modded? What? Ooh, sexy. Yay! I need to turn on my fan. Is that weird? Middle of winter. Turns on a fan. It's snowy outside. Turns on a fan. That lemon's gonna get there. Uh-huh. Rock to this music all day long. Let's go. Awesome. Want to upgrade this one? Okay, I will. That wasn't super worth it in my brain. This new upgrade, it's gonna be big. Lemonades times 2 sounds big. What is the next manager upgrade? 10. Okay. I mean, 10 is actually really quick when you think about it. If I don't spend the money, it's very quick. However, I don't need no manager yet. It's fine. Spend it on what you want to spend it on immediately. Now, now, now. Or the smart choice. Whatever. We are one away from a new upgrade, which is going to be really cool. It's not even the same as Tribes and Castles, where you actually are constantly putting an effort towards managing resources and activating timers. This is just increasing the multiplier. The game. This is a game I would play during church. That's how addicting this was. You don't stop. Don't stop. Never stop, never stopping. You just kept on doing it. And eventually you got to the point where you had even more. YouTube wasn't even a thing back then. Yeah, I played this on my phone during church. My super old phone that I still have to this day. Now that's an old phone. Actually, no. The phone that I had back then, I don't have today. I have something else. I remember my original tablet. I don't know. And like, my first device was like a tiny little... The first device I ever had that could store memory was a tiny little device. It was similar to the size... It was like a calculator, but it also had these little tiny notes that you could make. And here's what I did. I played a game on that tablet. If you can call it a tablet. It had a keyboard. You had the ability to have lines of words. That's it. It's not a beeper. Doesn't have any connection to the world. It was just text. But the fact is, it was pretty damn good. It was the best at the time. Compared to that, you had only a basic notepad. You know, words on and pictures on paper. This was the first piece of technology. Besides having, I mean, the only other thing that was slightly good was Nintendo GameCube and the Mario Deluxe. If you had Mario Deluxe, you had like a calendar. It had space for information in that. And that's all you had. And there were pictures involved, and there was all sorts of stuff involved, and you could have used a printer if you wanted to. It was a mini computer. Nintendo Game Boy Color. Right? But before then, you had handheld items that did all sorts of shit. That was really basic. Individual games. They only had the game that was in that game, and it was a game of Karnov or something. Yeah, there was this guy, he was just fighting some dinosaurs, and it was a rhythm game. The only rhythm game I have ever played, ever wanted to play, or ever would play again. That game was the dinosaur game before dinosaur game existed on Chrome. That game was, you had a boomerang, or you were jumping over things, and you could attack stuff, and it was dynamic. And it was cool. The dinosaur game is a mockery of that game. Hello? But it's fine. Jumping over stuff, complicated things, geometry, physics. It's interesting. Was it Conan? Conan the Barbarian? Man, I don't know. But it was a game that was a handheld with a screen, and I could play. The only thing I would want to do is play that game. And I was like, when my parents said, well, you should maybe stop playing that game, and what would you do if you didn't have that game? I would be like, I would be finding something else to play. I would fill my time with something else. I would entertain myself with something else. And what I would do is I would write stories. So I would have, I think the upgrade is more important than the manager. Personally. I think getting more now is more important than the manager that's going to make it automatic. But I can deal with what that manager would be doing. So I don't need the manager, I need the money upgrade. So that's the strat. What? That's also more important. Would I like to warp again? I don't think so. Not yet. Not until I have oil. How long is that gonna take me? I don't know. Do I want to use them? I don't know. I want to upgrade this to the next level. 69! Let's go. We've already seen 69? Yeah, I know. What about it? Kisses and keep something. I said keep something apparently according to speech to text. Anyway. Ooh boy. Hashtag worth it. Yay! I'm sorry I had to ruin the 69. It had to happen eventually. Warp. Another billion. More upgrades. Don't need the managers just yet. I need upgrades. Now what do I do with all this shit? I mean, upgrade the max one? Got a bunch of upgrades all at once. You get no more warps. You need to buy them. The sooner I get this one up to 1,000,000, the better. I say as I waste money on lemons. We're not there yet. Toads McScroats Worth. I mean, you'd think this one would have to go Super Saiyan, but this one has to go up to the next level also. We'll get that one, I guess. You can't be too far away. I mean, it's just 1 minute away, so I don't have to care about that. I can do this, right? That's fair, I would say. Cause 7, 8. One. 6, 8, 1, actually. 6, 8, 4. Never underestimate how much 6 can eat. 6, 8, 7. That's just how it happened. Oof. A1, 8, 1. I know I said them in reverse, it's fine. Dude, if I had enough money to upgrade this, I would. But also, this is bigger. It don't matter what this is. I'll get there when I get there. The shorter ones need to be done first anyway. Hold on. Shit. It's a toss-up. I did say I would do it. Like, the oil's not gonna matter until another 10 hours! Why would I ever upgrade that? I'll upgrade this as soon as I can, but it's not gonna be for another 2 minutes. Generally. Yeah, you start with, like, what? A tiny bonus. That's not gonna do anything, really. I don't know what kind of a bonus you're supposed to get in the first thing, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so, oh. I mean, this one's a good one to upgrade, no lie, but like, I don't know. That's nice. This and Adventure Communist is a game that got me over 2,000 views once. 4,000 views is insane. The video doesn't exist anymore because someone murdered me. They deserve to get themselves losing 12 years of their life. Not me. And I would... Do you think that downloading 6,000 videos, over 25,000 hours, terabytes of content, was ever going to be possible for me? I'm sorry, I don't have that kind of infrastructure, Google. You try to send me those and have me download them because I have so much time to download them. It's like I would have to download them and then re-upload them all! And then delete them. Download another batch. It would take months. You gave me weeks. You're stupid. You murdered people. Entire people. Every 1,000 videos. Man, every 200 videos is a person. How many is that in 6,000? 30. That's 30 people you murdered. Stupid. But YouTube doesn't care. YouTube will keep on just doing whatever. Eventually they'll get the class action lawsuit where the Privacy Act is like, you have to give us warnings and stuff, and you have to tell us what the fuck is going on, and not just punish us for something that we may or may not have even done. And the thing is, you don't know. And the thing is, you cannot continue that kind of bullshit. Where if someone has a private video, and if it isn't edited perfectly before you put it onto YouTube, even privately, they could judge you and say that your video makes it so that you're going to lose your channel. I have Pomni. Yay. Where the hell is the game? Hello, I'm right here. Playing the game. Anyway. So YouTube murdered over 25,000 hours of content, feeling nothing about it. And the thing is, stuff about copyright claims and whatever else, yeah, I could understand that. None of that happened. That's not why they murdered me. One time they claimed the video because they said it had to do with certain cuss words, and the next time I find out about stuff about it, and I counterclaimed and explained stuff, they said there wasn't something else in the video. And now they're claiming this other thing is what is wrong with my channel. You think I'm gonna believe that? YouTube is lying. They're scumbags, they're willing to lie, they're willing to murder people, they're willing to destroy people's livelihoods. Because if I had 800 subscribers before, going from then to now, I would totally be at 1,000 by now, and I would have the ability of ad revenue already. And now I'm working on ad revenue over on Twitch. And I'm still waiting for Twitch because of course what happens with Twitch is that when I look at my numbers, they tell me that I have streamed 36 hours in the past 30 days. And my average is 1.7 people. It has gone from 1.3 to 1.7 after not streaming for 2 weeks plus. Average of one person. Guess what that means? It means that they don't understand if you just have one person on the live stream consistently watching, an average of 3 people for the total amount of time that I have been streaming, 3 dedicated watchers, no matter how long you stream, you will get affiliate. That's all it takes. And if you don't have an average number of 3 people, then you need twice as much for every hour, every amount of time other people are not there. So if you stream for 2 hours and no one's there for one of those hours, you need twice as many people in order to get affiliate that way, because that's how the average goes up. So for 6 people over the course of 1 hour, and the other one is an hour where no one was watching, which, why would you live stream when no one's watching? The beginning of your stream might be empty. The end of your stream might be empty, but you're making content. You're recording footage for the sake of then using that and turning it into highlight system or whatever else, and then eventually making content for YouTube. And the thing is, YouTube and Twitch, the reason why they're so dead is because they're in conflict with each other instead of working together. I don't understand what an average of 3 people throughout the entire video even means. Because all I need is for some person to put on their tablet and say, I am watching this. Even if they're not actually watching it. You can be passively watching it. If 2 other people besides myself, guess what? That one average person is me. I'm watching my own stream. So the actual average of people watching is not 1.3, it's 0.3. And I feel that's kind of harsh. To assume that people are going to be there throughout your entire live stream. I did 90 hours 1 month. And it's ridiculous. It's a stupid thing to do 90 hours and get absolutely nothing for it just because people weren't there during the stream. And Twitch is not a content platform. It's not meant there for you to be watching videos. People aren't even going to navigate towards your videos most of the time, and I have over 800 videos on Twitch that I need to offshoot onto YouTube. For the most part, I've been trying to only stream directly to YouTube and ignoring Twitch entirely, simply so that my hours can go down. 36 hours in order to have an average of 3 people for those 36 hours? Guess how many people actually need to show up in total? Over 100. The way it works is basically 3 people per hour. So yeah, or total amount of time, which is insane. It's a ridiculous ask. Who's gonna be there? Just if I had exactly and only 2 more people to watch my live stream throughout the entire thing, no matter how much I stream, it wouldn't matter. I would have an average of 2 people. After that point, it matters. Because in order to get to the next stage, which is beyond affiliate, you need to have 75 people there. And in order to do that, you need to have a regular schedule, you need to have a robust system and whatever else. But right now, I'm not gonna be there. I can't afford to be there. Because in order to get the right amount of people to show up for the 90 hours I could stream in a month, I need a total of 270 people throughout that time. That's crazy. 270 people for an average of 3 people in my monthly quota. Because it all resides at the end, it all happens at the end of the month. At the end of the 30-day period, if throughout your time you have met all the criteria and the average of 3 people, like I would have to have someone raid me with like 1,000 people, and then boom, instant affiliate. You don't even have to think. There's no way you will do enough live streaming to overcome the 1,000 people watching your stream all at once. And I've had over 8,000 people here on YouTube watch a live stream. That's insane. Doesn't matter, it's like extra credit. You don't get that kind of thing accounted to you for YouTube and for Twitch. It doesn't matter. No one cares. Maybe I should restart now because it's gonna take a while to get that thing. The only thing that's important right now, minuscule bullshit, is like you wait the 10 hours, right? Meanwhile, you can have your guy. And you can start from scratch. Wait, the warps don't reapply. What the hell? Using the warps is worthless. Doesn't help. It didn't get me to 2 angels. I don't know how much you need in order to get an angel, but I'm getting another angel soon. As I can. What does it take? I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'll just get the next thing. Nope, next. Next is way more important than this. I'll get a manager soon, but not before I upgrade this. It's gonna make things just a little easier. Man, I've gotten people who are like upset or whatever else and freak out at each other over so much small stuff. So when I notice disrespect amongst my friends, usually what I do is I give them warnings and I tell them about how I would super much more appreciate if they did this other thing better. And that should be all I need to do. That I don't need to be doing extra stuff. Like, sure, you need 10,000 angels to do the first thing with angels, but the percentage, right? The percentage. I still like upgrades more than managers. But when the actions are happening so fast that like it's worth it to get the manager at that point, then it's like might as well just get the manager. It's one less click that I have to do every too often. Right? I could be spending that time clicking other things. And the money could come back even faster, sooner. I think the thing that bothers me the most is the fact that the majority of the videos are not plagiarism. They're not like stealing other people's content. I made my own content. I did my own thing. I did my thing that was like, yeah, playing games maybe other people have played, but I played them. I showed my personality. I was doing stuff. And it was so much better than like just take someone else's content and react to it. It was me actually doing a thing. You know? I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. I think when I find someone disrespectful and other people are giving excuses for them, I'm like, alright, look, we've given them, if I've given them multiple, like, warnings or, like, suggest, hey, please, could you do a little bit more this way? Like, say you're gonna be gone, if you're gonna be on, if we were doing something like active, like, yeah, you gotta go do a thing, like, I'm expecting you to say, you're gonna be gone doing this thing. That makes sense. People do that all the time. They'll say BRB, and they'll say other stuff, and it's respectful to do that. And me asking them to do that is like bare minimum. So why don't they do that? They're thoughtless? On one occasion and two occasions here and there and whatever else, I'll be soft about it. But if it happens too many times like it had, I was like, no, I'm actually not okay with this. Please get your act together. Because it's a little much. Upgrades first, always. So, yeah, I don't like having to have that happen. And that BS. And wondering why my feelings seem to not matter to them. Even though later on they'll treat me just fine, but I'll be like, I gave you this basic request. It's not a heavy request, it's just a basic request. Could you please do this one thing? Say BRB. Like, I could be understanding and know that they're gonna be gone for a while. Every so often. And like, I appreciate the time that I had there. But like, I thought that they were gonna still be there. And it's that assumption that they're gonna be there and then they're not. That hurts. And that's the kind of disrespect that's like, you know better. You can give me that. Right? I mean, it's not like it cost me a business deal or anything. It's not like it actually horrifically ruins my entire life. But at the same time, it's an amount of disrespect. What should I really do? Let them keep doing it? Or, you know, help them understand, yeah, it's actually not okay. I could be oversensitive about it, but then other stuff. I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like the sound of the rain. It's like those bunch of taps on the thing. It's just, I don't know if I can go outside in this weather, you know? To go get groceries or anything. Thankfully, I don't have to work in this at all. Haven't needed to work for a bit because there's nothing to rake up, there's nothing to mow, there's nothing to clear off. There's other people's stuff that they want to do. It's all fine. So, like, we'll be back up around March or something? I don't know, April? When the lawns start growing again? Unless we get other things to do. And here's the thing, you can't be jobless or without active duty for like the entire month. So there should be something to do. And I would love to hear about those opportunities because it makes it so that there's an incentive from disability to do a job at least once throughout the month. And I could pursue something else to get like a part-time job and apply as that to the thing so that it gets me the thing when I'm not having the opportunity from the other place. It's like, why rely on them 100%? Well, I feel like it's not fair to the place that I'm working at right now to go and do stuff elsewhere. But is it? Probably isn't. It's probably fine because it's like if there's nothing they can do, so it's like, why not do other things while there's nothing else to do? Right? Why put pressure on them to make something pop out of nowhere? Right? Instead, I could pick up something for like 4 months. It's not like I won't have lawns to do later also again. Another manager would be nice. Just because I'm stupid. I'd rather have donuts, or I would rather have this. Much more important to have that, I would say. Yeah, I'm not gonna have managers or the other thing. I'm gonna have this. The sooner you get the bigger amount of money, the better. I don't think upgrading donuts would have been that big of a thing. But we'll find out. It goes from 1.8 million to 1.8 million to whatever. We'll see. I don't know when the next upgrade is going to be. It doesn't matter. So I've been playing Astroneer. I've been having fun with the stuff there. Yeah, 5 million is cool. 5 million is amazing, actually. 5 million is welcome. Very welcome, actually. That's great. And all that jazz. Look, when I see Neil deGrasse Tyson blatantly say in front of all the internet and God that we do not know as a scientific entirety, none of us know what's happening in the double slit experiment, that a electron can interfere with itself. Are you actually mental? Everyone and their freaking mom knows that an electron is a tiny little bar magnet. This is not a new concept. This has been a concept for over 5 years that people have understood this. And he's saying this like a month ago or a couple weeks ago that he doesn't know. We don't know. Like, none of us know what's happening in the double slit experiment. Well, guess what happens in the double slit experiment? What happens is... managers. What happens is... the electron is a bar magnet. It has an electromagnetic aura around it. The field itself is manipulated by such magnets moving through it. When you shoot an electron towards the double slit, what you're actually also doing is having a giant pulse of electromagnetic field move along with it, ahead of it. The field moves in front of, or it gets there before the electron itself gets there. And what then happens is the electromagnetic field goes through both slits, the wave of it, so that's what's happening, and then the particle goes through and is affected by the interference pattern, which is basically when the bubble or the waves of electromagnetism are going through both slits, they create these troughs. And right in the middle of that, right in this point, that's where particles are pushed on both sides and they can't go any other place. At that point, your particle is going to go in one of those spots. And that one of those spots is exactly where it ends up in the experiments. Why don't you know this correlation? Why don't you understand how this works? I don't know. There's been a fluid dynamics example on macroscopic scale of things like this, and we understand how this works. We know the physics of it, and yet people are like, well, the electromagnetic field can't possibly be seen as this weird interference pattern, can it? Actually, there is a way to visualize the electromagnetic field going through a double slit. Yeah, you got a polarized lens there. I've seen people have those experiments where they find the interference pattern, and it's like, this is what's happening. The energy is going there, doing the interference, making those bubbles and making the crests and those meeting points at the trough. That is where, or whatever you call it, that is where particles are going to end up being pushed along. And knowing just basic fluid dynamics, the same thing happens with fluid of the electromagnetism. Electromagnetism is a fluid. So if you understand that, you understand why the electron goes in those channels. Now you got to predict which channel it's going to go in, because every time you shoot the gun, it seems to go into a different channel. People say wave function collapse, but no, it's just, it went into one of the few specific spots, and maybe, just maybe, as it was going through the slit itself, the electrons of the slit, because the double slit experiment is basically just a couple of little slits in an actual wall of something, like paper or something. Right? And what is that stuff made out of? Atoms and electrons. Those electrons have their own magnetic field, and so if the orbit of the electron coincides with the position of the electron that's being zoomed past, it can give a little bump towards one way or another. That's one factor. The other factor is that just the way it was shot out of the gun could be off by microns, and it would end up in those other spots. And there's no full way of accounting for that 100% accuracy of the gun. It's going to have these tiny microscopic little differences in its trajectory heading towards the double slit. As the interference pattern emerges, it will end up in one of those spots based on how it was launched. Wave function collapse. Forget about it. That's not what's happening. It's just a physics problem. A basic physics problem that can be solved on the macroscopic scale. It's absolutely ridiculous that people say, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, someone who should know better, he cannot possibly even legally say that we don't know what is happening in the double slit experiment. Because we haven't known for 70 years. But we do know. Not just I've told you, but other people understand it also. I'm not the only one, but apparently he's not up to date with what's going on. And he would say he researches a bunch of things. I research stuff too, dude. You can't be this out of touch about something and say something with such confidence and not fully research it. Not fully understand the physics of what's happening in this thing. Not understand the basic concept of electrons themselves. You know that there's an electromagnetic field from an electron because it's a particle going around an atom. You know it's a particle because it's going around the atom. There is an orbit there. It's not just some energy. It's a physical object. And the electromagnetic field is what binds it to the atom itself. And any bar magnet, as we know the electron to be, is going to give off a larger electromagnetic field the faster it moves. That's why engines are so efficient as they go bigger. So these are things that we understand, this is things that we have documented, these are things we know, and yet he says we don't know. And for so many other reasons, there's stuff like how space-time curves. It doesn't. And time dilates. It doesn't. But I understand this. Maybe many other respectable scientists seem not to understand it, but they should. But what they say is that gravity isn't a force. Yeah? Well, the faster you go, the more effect of gravity you're going to experience. And depending on your amount of local nearby gravity, the closer you are to something that exudes gravity, the more effect you have. Even apparently, a 14 kilogram item has been known to exhibit gravity. We're not experiencing time dilation or time distortions that would cause a nearby small object like a ping pong ball be affected by a 14 kilogram object. I'm talking about a melon affecting something else, or a heavy iron weight, whatever. Hopefully it's not made of iron, hopefully it's made out of something that's not magnetic or electro stuff. But guess what? Everything's made out of electrons, everything has a form and basic amount of magnetism. You know that organic materials are also magnetic in some ways, because even an apple will repel stuff. So you know there's ways of that magnetism is stronger than the force of gravity. Hank Green, you talked about talking specifically to Hank Green. No wait, not Hank Green. Who is it? Steve Mould. Steve Mould talked about a spring and how the spring or the elastic will spread out, and if you apply heat to something, the molecular motion is what we actually are seeing when we actually look at heat. Heat is just objects that have been sped up and given more of that basic energy. So if we understand that heat is just momentum, right? What really happens with a spring is atomic gravity. The elasticity of objects is what pulls them together. And just knowing about proteins and how they work, if you make a molecule, if you make a bunch of stuff randomly out in space, guess what? You're going to end up with all the different parts necessary to make proteins. Proteins in and of themselves are capable of making objects that will clump together and push other stuff around, and not just be basic stuff like oxygen. Proteins are capable of happening at random. They're very simple, but then they fold in different ways, and they make all these different shapes, and they can do things like that. So, if you want to talk about what is happening with the Big Bang, why it ignited, and what is happening to make planets do things, it's that as any object moving through space, if it bumps into other stuff, you're going to end up with vortices, you're going to end up with the basic fluid dynamics of an object that is suddenly forced in some direction. You can do this at home. Just have some basic amount of soap, a basic amount of oil in a dish of water, and then put soap in it. The soap pushes away the oil. This is what's happening with the universe. And the fluid dynamics of that are 2D. The universe is three-dimensional. And all that's happening is out in space, there's no other stuff to interfere with the motions of all those objects. The attenuating of stuff in space is not an expansion of the space itself, it's just the stuff moving from its original condition, its initial state of motion, to the next state of motion. A continuum. Literally because there's nothing else out there to stop it. So that's what happens. And as objects move, you end up with materials starting to bunch up together, and as objects of any amount of a large amount of gas just fuses together, suddenly you get stars. Suddenly you just have stars. Because as an object moves through space, all the objects that could ever be on any section of it are all being forced towards each other in that motion. They can't all have the same momentum. They're sort of slowing down, while the other objects are pushing them forward. So you're experiencing yourself being pulled back into your seat. You're experiencing gravity in a basic form. That's all it took. And then suddenly you have objects that the more dense the object, the more it moves towards the center. And so you end up with the cores of stars, the cores of planets, and you end up with super amounts of heat and fusion and changes of materials, and they compress and they turn into iron and they expand and they fling out and they explode, and the universe is seeded with more dense materials. It happens a few more times in a few more cycles, and suddenly you got a planet like ours filled with the remnants of a bunch of dead stars that are now gone, and all you have is what is left. Interesting thing about the concept of just the idea of matter versus antimatter. Antimatter cannot make a molecule. So when atoms get exploded, when they do all sorts of things, they don't just annihilate. Some of them fuse together, making harder, heavier things. Not so easy to destroy, not so easy to just be gone forever. And so you end up with something more robust than antimatter ever was able to be. Antimatter was never able to make an atom, much less a molecule. Antimatter is just anti-protons and electrons and leptons, or whatever you want to think about it, the tiny parts, and no molecules could ever happen. No chemistry could ever happen with antimatter. And as it goes near any amount of matter, the small amounts of matter just ignite it. And they don't just ignite some of it, they ignite a lot of it. And a lot of the other, more stable matter, that stuff ends up taking the parts and fuse it back together into what is now a new thing. It's interesting to know that just out of the ether, quarks can be made. It's interesting to know that if you have a setup where you were to take some quarks out of an atom, and normally the least you can do is have a pair, but what if you have that pair split apart? What happens? Well, what they found that happened, it took a lot of force to do it, but what they found happened was the quarks spontaneously became new pairs. They each got their own pair quark separate. So if you could make a machine that could hold two quarks together and pull them apart in a manner that is strong enough, you would be able to have, and really all it takes is a centrifuge powerful enough that you make the material want to fling out, right? But you're holding it in, sort of. But you're like ripping it apart. On the subatomic level, you would just be raining quarks. And then if you perform fusion on those quarks, you end up with hydrogen. If you perform fusion on that, you end up with heavier objects, and suddenly you have a trickle of matter coming out of virtually nothing. And the nothing is the background radiation of the universe, the electromagnetism that's everywhere, the matter that is actually in sub-quark parts that is just everywhere. And it's not that the two quarks are made out of parts that are like, they're half the size now, and they are new pairs. The new quarks that were made out of this process are the same size as regular quarks. So you split them apart, and then all you really need are two quarks. Keep bumping them together in a frequency that is extreme enough. And guess what happens? You start trickling matter into existence. Solid enough that if you were able to hold it with electromagnetism, you could fuse it together, make new matter, and then you could literally just have the ability to make stuff out of what is essentially nothing. It's insane, but that's how it works. That's physics. And so you'd think there must be a limit. Like, maybe you shake the tree enough and only a small cubic nanometer of material shows up. And you can't make any more because there's no other stuff to pull into existence out of the micro stuff. The nano, the pico, the whatever you want to call it. The sub-quark material that you can pull together and then make into actual material. But what if you could do that? Well, you make a series of these tiny little setups, and all you need to do is have the same frequency going on, and then suddenly you are just filling a container of like a cubic meter of hydrogen in seconds out of virtually nothing. I don't know about you, but a cubic meter of hydrogen at whatever pressure is a lot of something that came from virtually nothing. The fact that I call it virtually nothing kind of defeats the purpose, because you don't want to say virtually nothing about anything. You can't make something out of nothing, but there's something there, and it's the something that is small. It's enough that you could actually do stuff with it. On an industrial scale, you could then make more stuff out of this. And guess what? We can seed the stars with new hydrogen so that we can pull out the heavy stuff out of the stars and give them the hydrogen back. That's the true goal of it all. So, okay, why is time dilation not a thing? Time dilation isn't a thing because you can explain it without needing time dilation to be the answer that you come to. Time dilation is basically what happens to your clocks when there is a tiny amount of difference between sending the signal and it going back to the target. There is that tiny little difference, and if you change velocity at all, you're changing that distance that light has to travel, and the fraction of the distance that is the change in that distance relative to the distance of light per second equals the time manipulation that you'll experience. But all you're doing is moving the target by making it move at different velocities. Any different velocity. The difference between 100 miles an hour and 101 mile an hour is enough to cause your clocks be messed up. Because your clock be doing a thing based on regular intervals of distance. The moment you go from 100 miles an hour to 101, you've changed that distance. Very slightly for that one instant. If you stay at 101, it'll be regular for 101. Every time you change your velocity, you're changing that distance. Just enough that it will show up as your clock's being messed up. And if you understand that basic concept, expand it to satellite dishes and stuff, and you can explain away the actual chronological drift that happens with the clocks, and why we have to have a clock on the ground to feed the internet its time. Because it's stationary. It's not changing its velocity. It's going at a steady pace. Regular. Consistent. Reliable. Unless tides have anything to do with it. Tides might have something to do with it, but you never know. The point is, they're not incorrect about their time at all, ever. There are so many other facilities that correspond with all the same readings. They know what time it is exactly. It doesn't matter how many nanoseconds are in a second. It matters that the same amount of nanoseconds are always counted the same time every time, and that it's all double checked and made sure this is accurate. Out in space, you can't do that in an orbit because you're constantly falling towards the planet, meaning you're going slower and slower, and you have to constantly speed up and up in order to go from descending orbit to ascending orbit, out of the orbit. And this is what happens. You're constantly changing your velocity. You're going to experience time be messed up for your clocks. Atomic and accurate as they may be, they are fucked out in space. And if you knew how to compensate for it, you'd be fine. But you're not. And it's so dynamic and so crazy that it's hard to compensate for that, even with specialized computing. Doing stuff at high precision. So instead, we update the satellites manually. The whole concept of Veritasium's video that time for a photon could possibly be different one direction versus another direction is ludicrous when you consider the fact that we can have multiple measurements over the course of a distance such that we can not only say for A to B, but A to B and every inch between. And if all of that correlated data matches, then we know that time is the same in one direction versus another. Or we can know the differences. We know what it is. We don't have to be confused about it. We don't have to be thinking that it could possibly be something else because we know what it is. We've done the measurements. They are accurate. All you need is a couple of waypoints between the measuring points of two long distances, and you can easily corroborate the findings. Right? That's why. That's how you do it. It's really freaking simple. So the idea of measuring the two-way speed of light and all of that is that you can know the difference between one measurement and a bunch of thousands of different measurements, and it all seems to corroborate, and you can compensate for things like moving through a bottle that changes its distance that it's traveling, and all of these other things. There's ways of making sure. There's ways of being aware of what is happening to the light. as it's traveling. And then you know all of this stuff. And getting your mind thinking about it is fine. But saying there's no way of proving the two-way speed of light or the one-way speed of light and the difference between that, it's all situational. If you have enough tests done, you don't need 1,000 of them, but if you have enough tests done, you can say with certain certainty, they call it sigma, that you have made an accurate measurement. So we don't need your silly idea of the one-way versus the two-way speed of light. It's not important. Because we can do without. Crazy as that may seem. The interesting thing is, how fast is this actually going? It says a number, but it says 0 seconds. You don't know. And this one, it also says pretty much 0 seconds. You don't know. This one, it says basically 1 second. You know. But how fast is this going? You don't know. You just know that in response to this, and this, it's a pretty fast stream of constant stuff. But what if you did tell us how much of this per second we're getting, right? But that's not how it's calculated. But what if you could tell us that? Then you would be able to make a proper assumption about what is happening with all of this. Another thing that was interesting to me is the idea that heavier things can... The way weight and buoyancy works with water, or any fluid, to be honest. Someone said that, and I remember who, Diana, this physics girl, had made a statement talking about that an object inside of a boat will displace the same amount of water while in the boat as while out of the boat. And I can explain so easily why that is not 100% of the information, and how it's not okay to think in those type of terms because you need to expand to other cases, such as if you have a balloon, right? And pretend that it's held, as long as it's held down by like a beanbag or something, that balloon is going to push down on the boat with the same amount of weight, right? With a basic amount of weight that's going to displace a certain amount of water. But here's the thing, the only thing forcing the boat down is the beanbag. The balloon's not doing anything. So then you take that beanbag or that sandbag balloon and you put it in the water, suddenly it's displacing way more water than it was while it was in the boat. Now, why is that? Well, that's because the pressure of the balloon and everything else in it, and the stuff that's in it, is more forceful than the water. And that's a problem. Because I mean, it's a niche case, but it's like, what if you have a balloon no longer inflated, and suddenly all that air is inside a capsule, and you put that capsule and the deflated balloon in the water? Suddenly, first of all, the capsule and the balloon push down the boat ever so tinily, and they displace the amount of water ever so tinily. So there's a very small amount for the same amount of stuff, but because it's compressed, it doesn't do anything for water displacement. And the difference is a cubic foot. Expand that to expand that to a submarine, and a cubic foot of water displacement becomes the difference between your boat sinking and floating. I would say that's kind of important to know, that it's possible that that can happen. Right? It's like, it's interesting to know that if you have a sinking ship and you have life preservers, you could attach the life preservers to the bottom of the boat, and it will push that boat up instead of put it down. Once they're inflated, of course. And that's what happens. The capsule expands. The air that was in the capsule lets it out into the balloon. The balloon floats and lifts you up. Otherwise, you would sink if it's not inflated. That's basically how it works. The same thing happens with your lungs. You can push out air from your lungs, and now your total density is more. If you pull air into your lungs, you become heavier, but you have less density, and therefore you float more. You can do this in the pool. Have a lot of air in your lungs, you know you're going to lift up more than if not with the lungs. It's like a personal flotation device, but it's inside of you, and you're thinking, well, hey, hold on, what about the amount of displacement? Does that have to do with how floatable you are? Well, the thing is, your lungs filling up, you could have your chest puffed out and you will not float any better if there's no air in there. It's total density. So if you have more air, you're heavier, you float better. That concept in and of itself, if you don't have a basic grasp of that, then it's like you can make some bad assumptions. You can end up having submarines and other things just do stuff and do calculations just completely badly if you don't have that basic concept down. Now, one thing that bothered me, if you're going to have a dome in a submarine, the one that collapsed, why wouldn't you also have the potential, when you see a crack in that, why wouldn't you have the potential to close a vault door over top of the dome so that in case something happens, like you're blind now, but you totally close that off, and then suddenly there is no problem. It can break, the vault will keep you safe. This is what we call safeguards. Right? If you notice that glass doing a little crackly as you go deeper into the water, you better make sure that you have some way of sealing the rest of the vessel. Otherwise, you're just waiting to be capsized. That was just a stupid idea. Another stupid idea was using a bunch of light to shine from a bunch of mirrors from the sun to the mirrors, and then shine that light to a tower. and have molten sand on the top of the tower, flowing through tubes and doing stuff. Do you know why that's stupid? Because you could take the light as it goes to the tower and reflect it down again to a center point where it can be concentrated further, and you have even better use of the light, and you can have molten sand and not worry about it because it's not up there in a tower where it becomes a completely hazardous lava fountain of bullshit. Utilize lava with sunlight. That's something you didn't think about. And all I would tell you is just put a mirror there instead of the tower holding the sand. Put a mirror down to a center point or an entire pool of stuff that you want to heat up super amount. Spread that heat around so it doesn't have that amount of power that it has. Let it be lava. It's more effective as lava. If you can turn stuff into lava, why wouldn't you just do that and then make it so that you have tons, and I mean tons, right? Tons of BTUs of heat that you can just run some pipes by and the pipes are flowing with water. Or something, like a fluid. Like a gas. Instead of sand or whatever, that could turn into lava. You move that fluid or whatever that is, the oil, the gas, whatever, away from the lava. You are constantly heating it up with the sun. You're constantly pulling it away with something that actually works. Another system that worked so well, except for so stupidly, because the moment that you get the light and you reflect it somewhere, that light should be contained. That light should be 100% blocked and sent somewhere specifically. Right? There should not be the potential of this light possibly cooking birds. That's stupid. The moment you have the light, all you have to do is have a convex mirror, shine it into a thing, shine that light into a tube, and then shine it down to wherever you want to put it. The light can be reflected into wherever the hell you want it to go. You don't have to have it go through the freaking air towards something as if that's the most efficient thing to do. You're just wasting air. You're ionizing air. That's absolutely dumb. It's an environmental hazard. It's stupid. It's climate changing. You're literally turning on a gigantic heater that is making so much heat in this one spot. You could be affecting weather systems for all you know. But instead, you could manage that heat, utilize it properly, not be wasteful with it, and you would have the power you want. Also, the fact that a 14 kilogram object can attract something, you can easily make that into an infinite power machine. And I know how. Once the object is starting to move towards the other object, the smaller one to the bigger one, the force total could be multiple of these objects pulling multiple small objects. The total amount of torque is all of their attractive pulls combined. And suddenly you have the ability to have whatever that object is, be turning this whole thing, right? And as it turns, that is a small amount of power that you just were given. And with the very lightest of, the very least amount of resistance stuff, the very, like, not affecting the mechanism thing happening, is that it then makes one tick pass. And as the tick passes, you then have literally the force of gravity. Like, totally irrelevant to our own Earth's gravity. We're talking about a kilogram object, or 14 kilogram object, attracting something else. This is something that's been proven. Right? It happens in a laboratory. We know it works. We have compensated and made sure it's not electromagnetism. It's not any of this other stuff. We know this. Right? This gravity object if it can pull it that much over, you could have one object pulling it in one direction, and then as it moves, the entire system moves. Right? Let's say it's correlated, and the very tiny amount of resistive force as it moves towards one thing, it pushes, you're actually pulling the big objects away from the smaller objects, very slightly. Slightly enough that if you keep on doing this pattern, if you have a lot of these such objects in a series, you can make a certain amount of constant force per second. Maximize this into an industrial system, suddenly you're getting power out of nothing. Literally, just the power of gravity itself. It's an external force. No, it's actually not. It's powered by itself. The basic fundamental force of an object that will move towards a bigger object. Life hack. Suddenly, you're able to apply all these tiny forces. Suddenly, you have a kilogram of force. Not just this tiny little motions, but a diorama that just moves regularly. Constantly. Enough that you can rely on it to work for you as a timekeeper. And beyond that, you could actually generate power from that. Would you have to make something very big and very costly? But the thing is, this type of stuff, you can have it so that there's a lot of frictionless stuff going on with, like, air bearings or magnets and stuff that hold things together so that there isn't any friction. And then you do end up with more stuff. I don't actually want to play this again. How long have I been here? It takes so long to do this. Well, because I had warps. And now you're doing it without the warps, so you're sad. In order to do warps, you need 50 bucks. I don't have 50 bucks. I have 5 bucks. In order for me to get more bucks, I need money. In order for me to get money, I need things. Boop. So I know you can see the game, I can't, because I pressed Alt Tab, or whatever. It's not full screen yet. It's like it's broken. Notice how it's frozen? That's because the game crashed. I don't know if the game can work in windowed mode. Let's try at a lower resolution. It doesn't want to work in windowed mode. What the fuck? Okay, it can work on some resolution, apparently. Wow, that's crazy. It's so tiny. You can't tell the difference. But it's so tiny on my screen. Here's how tiny it is. That's so weird. And it actually fits. Isn't that nice? That's so stupid. But it's like, I was able to see everything, so that's also nice. Where's the settings? I thought I could do something, but I can't. $10 billion. I had 10 billion? Wow. I spent 10 billion. I'm okay with that. Wait, what? Anyway. I wonder why this game has a lower resolution and it will not run on that resolution. Why is it an option then? Have you tested it? Why would it not work at that resolution? It's a good question. Anyway. Where is my live stream? When did it stop? What is happening? Where's my video? Where's my live stream? It looks so much nicer now. Now I can actually see what's going on as it's happening. Whatever's happening now is happening now. Cool. Stupid, but cool. I guess. Cruelty. It was the full screen before. Now it's this. Tiny bullshit. Like, why? Could I have my face be up here? I mean, that is appropriate. Or whatever. Doesn't matter. It's so tiny that it's about the size of the preview of the game. Which is ridiculous. It's actually too tiny now. I wish it would run at a higher size. Let's see if it can do that. Load the game again. Windowed mode. Instead of 7 and 80, let's do the tiniest size. No, that doesn't seem to want to work. Why is it an option then? Yeah, so 7 and 480 is one option. The next one is not a good size. Huh. The next option. Okay, that works. This is the next functioning size up. And that is also a good size, sort of, I guess. Yeah, that's a much more, like, it's actually, look at this. This is how big it is now. It used to be way smaller. And you, like, there are some resolutions where it won't work. But, like, this is not bad. This is, like, doable. But, like, that's some crap right there. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, the easy button. No, I don't want to use my... I didn't realize I could do that. I forgot I could do that. But I don't want to do that. Because it cost me an investor. And then I lose my percentage. But my percentage is 2. Kind of bad. Have you heard about manually made snowflakes? Yeah, that's something. $100 trillion. Nice. I don't think it's worth it to be here right now. Yeah, I'm done. I don't know if you run this in the background or something, but I would just... I wonder if you turn it off, do I actually get more money? 242 or whatever. Give it a few sec. I don't think it'll ever have progress. 242 is what it was at. Try again. Same settings. 720, whatever. Yeah, we gain money. Okay, weird. So we have offline play. I'm done.